After years of mediocre stories and being pushed aside by Marvel, the X-Men were revitalized by Jonathan Hickman, Pepe Larraz, and R.B. Silva in 2019's House and Powers of X. 10, or sorry, not 10, I wish it was 10. 2 years later, he left the X office behind, leaving the Krakoan era in the hands of other creators. Since then, a bloated line of comic books, a lack of focus, and questionable storytelling is leading us to wonder where things went wrong. Now, Marvel has announced new books that signal the end of the Krakoan era just ahead of top Marvel editor Tom Brevoort's arrival. Is Marvel finally pulling the plug on Krakoa? Do the X-Men need to find somewhere else to live? Like, are we just going back to the mansion now? What the fuck? Hopefully it's late enough for me to curse for the YouTube algorithm. So I'll say it again. What the fuck is Marvel doing with the X-Men? We're going to answer that question in a moment. We'll get to that. But if you're watching us, you might notice there are two additional pals. We've been joined. The pals have been joined. And we've been joined by pals indeed. I'm very happy to welcome the duo behind the Bardic Verses, Matt Summo and Pete Collins.
Hey, hey.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Fellas?
Now, Pete, I want to say up front, when we were promoting this on Thursday, I called you Phil Collins.
Dude.
And if we had Phil Collins right now, there would be a lot more people watching. But I'll tell you, I'd rather have you. I would rather have you than Phil Collins.
You know, I get that quite a bit. You can call me Phil if you think it'll help.
So, well, you know what? The Bardic Verses is about it's about characters that make music, right? Or do a little music. So, you know, I got a collab with Phil Collins would help sell books. I'll say that. You two are some of our favorite guys. We had you on for Journey into Quistery. That was so much fun. You guys are going to be joining us today to talk about the Bardic Verses, talk about the week in the comics industry. Really happy to have you both here.
Thanks. Great to be here.
We're going to talk about the Bardic Verses in a few minutes, but let's jump in on Krakoa, because this week Marvel announced three new titles. One of them, one package is the Fall of the House of X and the Rise of the Powers of probably 10, like Powers of 10 from, what Hickman had done. The Fall of the House of X is by Jerry Duggan and Lucas Wernick. Rise of the Powers of 10 is by Kieran Gillen and R.B. Silva. Both of these are due out January of 2024, and we know nothing more until New York Comic Con here in just a couple of weeks. They also announced Resurrection of Magneto by Al Ewing and Luciano Vecchio in January as well. So all that coming in January.
And
now, go ahead.
That's when they typically do their, like, we'll pause the main stories, we'll do like a mini event thing. So I guess this tracks.
Yeah. All that. And then didn't they also announce Sabretooth War with Wolverine and that's around that same time.
Yeah. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
So all that, right? Plus the Tom Brevoort aspect where we know he's coming in here at some point in 2024, and he said he wanted to let them wrap up the events and things that they have coming. My first question right up front is, do you think that this is it? Is Marvel telling us, all right, we're exiting stage left here on this Krakoan stuff?
Pulling a snagglepuss. I think so. I think if I'm Brevoort, I kind of want to start with an editorial clean slate. And I think, because he's been the Avengers guy since I've read comics. So if I were like someone, that well known as an editor, I kind of want to, be in a place where I can kind of start with my creators from the beginning. And I think like I would be okay with like Krakoa still existing. And like I don't think it's gonna be that, but I think like we'll probably get a refresh of the graphic design elements of the books, like something to visually distinguish. Like this is new. Maybe even like this is like if in February we get Uncanny X-Men #1, like that's the way to do it too. So I'm okay with that. I think the Krakoa experiment was amazing, but the editorial aspect of it was, I think I saw the sausage being made a little too much behind the scenes.
You're answering a question that comes way in advance, bud.
I don't know your script.
Let's hear from our guests.
Yeah.
So, Pete and Matt, what's your familiarity? Where are you at with your kind of reading of the X-Men over the last couple of decades? Because everybody's got a story with the X-Men. So where are you at with that? And do you think that Marvel is sort of signaling that we're done with this era?
Yeah, I've read almost everything, I think, from the Krakoan age. It hooked me right away, especially Pepe Larraz's art. That was awesome for me as an artist to see. I really dove into that, and that kind of reeled me in. I like the premise, and the world making that was kind of tied to all of it, right? Like there's new alliances, there's new rules, there's new everything. So I fell into that pretty hard, almost too hard, because I think there's been a lot of filler stuff, of course, throughout. But there's also some nice surprises in there. So I'm pretty well versed in it. I think I definitely think they're going to go the route of doing something of a clean slate, scorched earth type of thing. I figure we probably have 4 to 6 months of like the wind down from it, but yeah, I definitely see this as like a means of trying to get the comic books maybe more aligned with other projects, right? We've got like X-Men 97 around the corner or something, probably, maybe soon, who knows.
Hopefully.
And hopefully, so I could see them trying to take this opportunity to get everything more in sync, so that the comics and the revitalization of that cartoon and maybe other stuff, movies or whatever, aren't so far apart. I don't see the Krakoan age working very well in, a cartoon format per se.
We'll pull on that more later, but yeah, I definitely think there's something to that. What about you, Matt?
I fell out of X-Men like during that time, during the Krakoan age, so I'm very unfamiliar with it, but I think it seems to be the way of Marvel, where they're, when these characters start popping up in other things, that they're gonna try to make the comics like move closer to that iteration of the character. So it definitely does feel like they're cleaning up to get ready for the X-Men, again, like Pete said, the cartoon, or the X-Men in live action, like just to make it kind of a little bit more in sync.
Yeah, Marco, where are you at with this?
I don't think, at least I hope they don't get rid of Krakoa in this like larger sense that it's no longer on the board, because it would be, I think, similar to Pete, I got reeled in real quick, and I loved just the concepts that got introduced, and so I hope those new things don't go away, because it was a radical change, and I really appreciate that, especially for long-standing comics. And yeah, if we go back to the Mansion Man, I'm pulling out. Like, that's not something I'm interested to see anymore. Like, we've evolved past that point, and to go back, I think, would be taking a big step back, both narratively, but also for the legacy of the X-Men.
You really don't care about the Mansion, like the student dynamic that they sometimes do?
I think you can still have that, but it doesn't have to be there. Like we're no longer in upstate New York, right? We're elsewhere. We're in the stars now, and that would be too small for the X-Men.
Actually, I feel like that's something that was missing in the Krakoan era. Like you had the young X-Men in like New Mutants, but they were kind of shunted off to that one section.
I think you're right, but I think the problem with that is, like, I think we haven't had a chance to live on Krakoa,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, whereas we've had decades in the mansion and the school, and you know, we never got to see how cool it is to live on Krakoa.
Yeah. Yeah, they would show you glimpses every now and then,
Yeah.
right? Like you know, Blob at his bar or whatever. But
Yeah.
like you never really got the fuller sense of it all, you know. I
That'd be
agree with
cool
that.
to that'd be cool to explore in like a simple slice of life story, or something like low stakes that is just fun. And I would love to have gotten even what initially was the Nightcrawler religious stuff, you know, to have fully developed into and applied to more people. You could do classes there. To Tyler's point on like not being able to have that environment, you could replicate that, and you know, we have trainings, but we're on Krakoa. Like that'd be neat.
Bring back
Yeah.
the baseball games.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Bring back the swimsuit special. Like they're on an island. Like
It is,
the
man.
fact that we didn't get one of those at any summer is wild. Like a Green Lagoon, Blob. Like put some tiki recipes in there. I'll write those. I swear I can do it. There wasn't much fun, you know?
Yeah.
It was all stakes. It was all like everyone's stressed out and trying to survive the next day.
And because
Where's
the idea of death didn't really exist because anyone can come back, you only had your heavy hitters constantly. They didn't really create new characters throughout all of this.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, right? Like they there was often a heavy focus on, you know, maintaining the peaceful existence of this new world, but they never really showed you what that peaceful existence really meant and what it was.
That's an interesting point. That is, yeah, that is a good point. Matt, as somebody that, because this is something I've seen a lot, and I feel like there are a lot of people who, like some of us on the show, started with the Krakoan stuff and were like, "Wow, this is hot, this is great, got to stick with it." There were a lot of people who didn't like it and didn't want to be a part of it. Felt maybe it was too much, you know, to dive in if they missed the boat on the initial like House and Powers, and just never really got going. So where were you with that? Kind of like, why didn't you jump on with the new hotness at that time? And are you a person who's like, you know what, I'm looking forward to when things get back to normal with the X-Men?
Yeah, I think it might be a hot take, but I prefer them like in upstate New York. Like I think New York is like the center of the Marvel universe, and I like them to be more included in that. I kind of like the school dynamic, you know. I think they should lean a little bit more into that. I feel like for sure, like if I'm Revort, like I'm coming in, like let's bring them back to, you know, back to basics, right? Let's get everything back to where it used to be and try to tell, you know, different stories, like to your guys' point, like more kind of slice of life stuff. Like let's get them more involved, you know, back into the direct Marvel universe, I feel. So I don't know. I think for me, like I prefer them like in upstate New York, like dealing with a school for gifted youngsters, and you know, dealing with stuff a little bit more locally than sort of detached from the greater Marvel universe.
And that's not an uncommon opinion.
Yeah.
And I one of my big questions coming into this conversation was, if Marvel's choosing to do this, because there was a lot, in my opinion, a lot of bloat among the X line of books. And when it started with Hickman, and, you know, you had a few other series, you had Marauders, you had, you know, Excalibur or whatever it was, like you had a few other books. It was cool. You could reasonably buy them all and then work your way down if you weren't like really feeling them all. Now it's like, man, there are so many, and they have like fringe connections. Like we just read Uncanny Spider-Man, and that's an X-Men book, and it's got Nightcrawler in it, and it's got Spider-Man in it, and Spider-Man villains, and why do I care? You know, And so I'm wondering if they've sold us on as much of this stuff as they can, and they're seeing the numbers now, and they're saying, okay, time to flip it and go get money from the people that didn't want this era, who we're not getting money from anymore.
And let's say we do reset, we go back to our meat and potatoes in New York, and how does that address some of the bloat of the other comics like in the line? Because some of those, and Atomic Hound in the chat brought it up, he opted out for some series because they felt like they were either subplots or just not relevant. So we go back. I think the other thing is to address the number of books that we have and try to find a bit more connective tissue between them.
I don't think they will. They're gonna pump books out and they're gonna make you buy them. Like that's their job.
I can dream, Kale.
I think the other, elephant in the room is MCU.
Yeah.
When people think of the X-Men, they think of the Mansion. They think of Professor leading a group of youngsters, and they're gonna want youngsters for the movie to have them act longer. So I think there is going to be some synergistic consolidation of the X-Men brand, core 5 in a way, or maybe even create a new core 5, and start in the comics. I think whatever happens here is going to be a pretty good indication of what the MCU is going to look like.
That's a fair point.
I think Krakoa is a little too big brain for the MCU right now.
Damn,
although they love CGI, and they love a CGI fest at the end that they overwork their VFX artists for.
I also just don't. I don't think that's a good start. I don't think.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think that if the MCU is going to introduce the X-Men, in a way that's not, hey, we've been in hiding just like everybody else who's not been around for some weird reason. If they're not going to do that, then I think you kind of have to have a start that establishes that they're hated and feared and blah, blah, blah. I don't think Krakoa works as well if you don't already have a very intimate knowledge of the fact that, this is what the mutants experience. I just don't think that there has to be a one-to-one with the comics. I really don't.
Rework's going to change that.
I mean, he did for the Avengers in a way.
Right. Right. So, that's kind of his specialty, I guess. Yeah. Right.
But they really didn't, though. There are some obvious overlaps. Like, we know Nick Fury. We know that some books had similar or the same rosters to the main to the MCU, but the main Avengers book, in my mind, never really reflected the MCU very well at all.
I mean, look at Black Widow. Not really often an Avenger once the movies happened. When previous to that, she wasn't too often an Avenger. And then we had that Bendis book with Thanos that came out right when the Avengers came out. What was it? Avengers Assemble?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the main story of the Avengers. The main story of the Avengers did not materially change because of the MCU. It was weird as hell, actually.
Wasn't it Hickman?
Yeah, it was it was a very weird, crazy time. Good stuff, great comics, but
I think the most that changed was the costumes.
Yeah.
The costumes definitely changed. Yeah.
This is a much more, if they're deliberately setting the table, this would be the first time that they've done this for a major franchise to say, okay, this is going to be our MCU lead-in, and we're going to directly alter the comics to match what we want to do for a major franchise like this.
Well, we have confirmation for Ms. Marvel. I don't know how that is going to play out in the rest of the MCU, because she's going to be the big linchpin, and I don't think they're going to dive too into it in the next movie. I think once maybe the show comes back, they'll probably explore a little bit more. But I would be a little frustrated, I think, just thinking this through, if the first iteration of the X-Men happened in this series versus a movie.
I mean, that was my thought: is why make Kamala Khan a mutant in the comics if they weren't setting the table for whatever's coming in the MCU?
Yeah.
Like it seems
Yeah.
like a foregone conclusion that they're gonna, start putting things back to the status quo so that they can ease the X-Men into the MCU.
Even the thing in the Miss Marvel first mutant thing or New Mutant
Yeah.
is that I don't know what my mutant power is yet. It's like, all right, we know what it is. You're gonna have hard light power. It's just a matter of when, really.
Right. And that is like the Miss Marvel one is it's kind of a weird one because she wasn't originally intended to be a mutant. She was created to be a mutant and they didn't allow it because of the the stuff with Fox. So like I'll give you that. It's a stretch. It is, but I'll oh God.
Yeah, you did that on purpose.
I'll give you that. All right. I'll give you Miss Marvel. But the whole thing, like in my lifetime, there has not been as much excitement about the X-Men since I've been reading comics other than the Krakoan era and the way that stuff started. So to turn away from it, it'll be 5 years in 2024. I guess that's a good enough amount of time. It's the amount of time that I would have thought they'd give it. But I don't know if I'm ready for them to go back. And it feels like rubber banding. But when you're doing it for an entire group of characters as massive as the mutants, you really feel it.
You get comics like Hellfire Gala, this most recent Hellfire Gala, where so much has to get addressed. It's busy. It's a hodgepodge of moments pieced together so that you can get to some end outcome, I feel.
It's probably what they need to do. I just don't know if I'm ready. But I want to shift this conversation a little bit because I am frustrated about something. I'm frustrated because I think Marvel fumbled the X-Men bag. I think that Marvel, in some ways, their lack of oversight and saying, no, you guys have to do whatever Hickman's plan is, was a mistake. I think letting the other creators and the X group, and I really want to hear from Pete and Matt on this because this is a creator issue big time. I think that Marvel should have said, you have to do what it is that Hickman has laid out. This is what we paid for. This is what we wanted. And we're not going to expand and get greedy, because I do believe Marvel got greedy, and make so many ancillary titles. They had a magic book. They had a weird pirate book. They had a book about the youngsters. They had the main X-Men book. And I'm probably missing like one. But that was the line. And that made sense. There are so many books. People are confused. I don't know where to go if I want to follow certain characters anymore. It's unruly. And I think that Marvel's decision-making and the constant events that, to be fair, the creators are not responsible for the needing to have an event every 5 months, but the constant events that just feel ancillary. Letting creators do basically fan fiction with Sinister. It wore us out. I fucking love the X-Men. It wore me out. I'm X'd out.
Huh?
So,
Nice.
Thank you. So, where do you guys land on, should editorial have sort of enforced sticking to the guns? Because for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Hickman left because the creators wanted to stay in the sandbox that they were in, whereas Hickman wanted to move things forward. So he said, okay, I got gods to do. I got the ultimate universe to revive. I got a jet. And that's what happened. So now that I've said all those things, you guys can respond to that.
I think that to your point, it's definitely a lack of oversight, right? Hickman was brought on to do a job. I'm sure he outlined what his goals were very thoroughly. He seems like the type to do that. And I'm sure that there was a commitment to see those goals through. And it seems like there was a, some corporate decision to say, wait, hold, pause, we're going to go this direction now. And what could have been, Hickman could have been coming to something of a similar end on his own over the course of the next few years, maybe, feed us into that, really put a focus. I think the Krakoan age has really put a focus on characters that honestly I wouldn't have cared about before. Right.
Yeah.
Like what's that character? Is it Tempo? Right. I didn't care about Tempo. The Marauders was one of my favorite books throughout all of this, and it was full of characters that I didn't care about. I don't care about Orphan. Was it Orphan and Nanny? Don't really care about them
yeah,
so much, but they were interesting, and I could totally see that Hickman was probably leading to some level where it stopped, and then could get that spit shine and change in the status quo on his own. But they decided to move it along faster for some reason. And from a creator standpoint, if that is the case, that kind of sucks, right? Like as readers, as fans, we're never going to see the fullest picture here. And from a creator standpoint, like you come on, you dedicate yourself to something that has, all of these agreements in place, and then to take a pivot, like that's not great.
Right.
Ooh, yeah.
Right.
My thought, I have two thoughts. And one, as like coming from like the corporate side, I feel like Marvel was like, oh, these books are doing gangbusters, so let's just reach out to every creator on the planet and go, hey, do you have an X-Men pitch that fits in this universe? Like, let's do it, right? Like,
Right.
as Marvel's going to follow the money, right? So if this is doing well, like, well, why not do more? As a creator, I feel events in general like need to be events, right? Like I feel like it needs to be like once a year, if that, like some big thing happens. And you could do the tie-ins, you could do all that stuff, but have it be once a year. If it's not once a year, then it's like that's not an event to me. That's just like, oh, if I wait a little bit, like there's going to be 1,000 tie-ins to this one thing. Like it's a lot. That's a lot of burden to put on a reader, where I got to go to the shop every single week to make sure I'm picking up a book that directly ties into this big event with my favorite characters in it. Like it's a lot, dude. And I get why they do it, but once a year at most is that should be your benchmark. And it should be one, not an event per line. It should be one event that ties into everything. And I get that's really difficult as a creator, but too much. That's
To your
overall.
To your point, I feel like it dilutes the value, right? Because I doesn't feel like an event, and these are supposed to be these momentous occasions. Things are going to change to come out of this, and you start at the end, you come out at the end, and say, well, really, what happened? Probably nothing of value.
Well, and that's been the thing with Sins of Sinister too. Is each year we've hit this Hellfire Gala, and the X-Men team has changed. To what end?
Mm-hmm.
And so with Sins of Sinister, we've learned that we can't trust, the people in charge. Well, now we have the Hellfire Gala, and all that's gone anyway. It doesn't matter. We can't trust the people in charge. Well, the people in charge aren't in charge anymore, so everybody's scattered to the wind. So what was the point of all that?
Right.
I like the point that there is a level of like the creators having to come in and pick up the ball from Hickman. That's an unfortunate situation too. And I'm sure that, I don't imagine that anyone is doing less than their best. There's no reason why anybody would come and give less than what they can. But no one but Hickman started this, and Pepe Larraz and Martha Gracia. Like they're the ones that started everything. And now everybody, even the look of the books, like artists had to come in and emulate a look that they didn't create.
Even the info pages, like there are people having to do info pages that like it seemed forced.
It's completely forced.
Yeah.
Like that's a very Hickman thing. The guy does graphic design. It's his passion, like literally. So yeah, that was I would have been okay with people not having to do that.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the Resurrection of Magneto really quick, because they are bringing Magneto back. He died. Yeah, big shock. He died last year during the AXE Judgment Day event, which was an X-Men event. And it was a really cool death, awesome death. It's one of those deaths where like you should see it for yourself. But they're bringing him back. And his death was very significant because he's not supposed to be able to get resurrected. That was him and Storm's whole deal, was they got rid of their resurrection protocol for themselves. And he's one of the triumvirate, which is split: Moira, Magneto, and Xavier. Moira's evil, Magneto's dead, Xavier's walking around in a desert with a beard. They're supposed to be split. Now they're bringing Magneto back into the fold. It feels like table setting more than it does necessarily feel like organic storytelling.
Magneto's one of those guys. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I totally agree with that. It definitely feels like table setting, and it feels like it's not just the resurrection of Magneto the character, but maybe there's something more to that. Maybe they're going with the resurrection of Magneto, the classical persona, right? Where he's coming to be the champion of his people, and we're going to see that whole swell of mutants kind of support him post this story.
The excuse is, oh man, we only have this really old backup. It's like when you get a new iPhone and you forget to back up your old one. It's like, oh man, I got all these old text messages.
That'd be cool though, because then let's say there is the fall of Krakoa. Maybe there's now a split between Xavier and Magneto, like a bigger rift gets created. Now you have these two opposing forces, and then somehow Apocalypse comes out of the mix because my boy needs to come back at some point. You get your three reigning, I guess, ideologies.
Yeah, you got 33.3% chance of winning that one.
Is that Steiner math?
Yeah,
a little bit of it.
I mean, I think, does that not sound like resetting of the status quo, that Magneto's coming back somewhere else? So they're like, oops, we gotta bring him back because a new batch of people are going to be introduced to him elsewhere, so let's make sure he's in the comics. So people are like, hey, I like this guy, he has a cool helmet, like where can I see other stories with him in it?
And like also, if you're doing the MCU and you're starting from scratch, Magneto's the villain, even though he's not really a villain anymore. I would say he's probably the most, honestly, he's one of my favorite X-Men. But he's the villain. And even the X-Men 97 show, like he's the leader of the X-Men in that coming season coming up. So he's an integral part of the stuff they're doing. So yeah.
Let's hit a couple of comments. Kingdom of Nerds, hello and welcome, says X-Men need a reboot, just one book, core team, new mutants with younger mutants, Cable leading X-Force, let mutants be evil again. Interesting. I definitely think now at this point it feels as though something was lost by saying, okay, all the mutants are aligned. There are classic X-Men foes who are friends now. And so we haven't been able to really tell stories with those. I think that the villain aspect of the Krakoan era, has been a little bit weaker. Outside of Nimrod, what villains do you really like? The horticulture grannies?
I do like
the kaiju.
The kaiju.
Yeah. Editorial.
Editorial.
But like with the villains kind of getting not the biggest spotlight in this, I also think like Wolverine kind of got the short end of the stick in this whole Krakoa thing. Like, yeah, he's had his own book, but he's kind of been separate from everything.
Oh, so separate.
And again, MCU, you need Wolverine. So maybe that refocuses him as being part of the X-Men more. Like he's hanging out with Ghost Rider right now, which is a fantastic book. I will harp the praises of that book whenever. But yeah, I think that there's another guy that kind of didn't really thrive in Krakoa, besides the, being in a threesome with Jean and Cyclops constantly on the moon.
Yeah.
So
obviously, but I think that was always going to be the case. Like, I'm pretty sure Hickman laid that out.
Agreed. Yeah.
The same as Apocalypse. Their whole thing was, we've been fighting for this thing for so long, and we're warriors. What can we do in paradise? So it makes sense to me that Wolverine would be off doing his own thing. Same as Apocalypse. We haven't seen him in, at this point, years. And, he may be coming back.
I want Big Pop A again. That's it. Love that guy.
I want them, before Krakoa was done, I want them to put out an audio file of what his Krakoan name should sound like. It's that weird Krakoa A. Like, I can't read that, and I want to know what it sounds like. You know what? I'm going to go to the panel and ask that question.
A Pokemon cry from the original game.
Yes.
It's Missingno's cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I agree. I need to hear that now. By the way, we are going to be doing a draft later if we hit the likes goal, which we're setting at 25. So we need to jack those likes up. We have 6 people on this panel. At the end of this show, you guys get us to the likes goal. We are going to have one hell of a draft because we've never had one with this many people. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Get those likes up. Let's do this. Dan Trudeau says, I think the MCU X-Men should premiere without Wolverine. Make him showing up for the first time in event. Dan, I love you. You're the truth. I cannot disagree with that more. I can't imagine that you don't make your first movie with your most popular character. I'm sorry. How can you not have Wolverine?
Yeah. What are they going to do? Lead with Cyclops? Like,
whoa, hey.
Cyclops is going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, #1 Cyclops fan right here. But look, dude's not cool.
Like, not the guy.
The fact that he's not cool is cool, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Dad's shaking his head because you know that Cyclops is cool, right?
I have a lot of thoughts on Cyclops.
I got a Cyclops shirt on right now.
He's not even the #1 Cyclops.
What?
Not even the best Summers.
Oh, we're done professionally. I can't believe that.
His brother is way better.
What?
Ooh, hell yeah, dude.
Okay.
Better costume. Listen,
I like
I'll say it. Holds the better chicks too.
What? I'm not gonna get into that part.
Man.
He's going out with a demon right now. Are you kidding me? Please.
Havoc is just like, I can fix her constantly.
Yeah.
I
want to make a mutant feel relatable.
Hell yeah. New Havoc #1 fan right now.
CW Gordon says Corsair's #1.
No. That dude left his children to go be in space. What a dead
He did the right thing.
King shit.
Wow.
King shit.
Isn't this is Descending to Madness? Yes, it is. That's the name of this podcast. Isn't MCU X-Men at least a few years off anyway? By that time, I'm sure the comics would need to be realigned.
Realigned.
But that's the thing. Maybe realignment isn't necessary. Maybe because we know that, yes, there's a slight bump when the movies come out. People go buy the books for like a month or two, but it doesn't translate into a revolution of sales. I don't think people are going to come to the books and go, whoa, the mutants are on an island. I'm out of here. I don't think that's so insane that it's going to affect the sales of the books once the MCU comes out. I don't think it's a necessary change for the movies. I think if you feel creatively, if they feel that creatively they told the story, great. But if it's for the synergy, I don't think it's necessary.
I think Tyler said at the beginning, right, that that it's all about like kind of like paving the way into future projects and I think that kind of makes sense, right? So they start now. They've got a couple of years before any MCU X stuff kind of really trickles out, and then by the time that comes around, they've laid the foundation of, you're going to see these characters, the big players. Oh, go buy those trades. If you're interested, go buy those trades that came out 2 years ago. Not the stuff that came out in the 80s. Maybe that's a little too inaccessible. It's a little, you're honing your focus in maybe more on, the recent past, and connecting people to that to move forward rather than 1964 X-Men.
Yeah, or a Claremont's run, which everyone loves, but like the person getting into comics for the first time is gonna be like, "Whoa, what are all these word balloons?"
Yeah, why is it telling me to go back to this issue? Why is it telling me?
Yeah,
that's a little hard to get into if you're new to it.
And I would hope that what James Gunn is doing for DC, like and like verbally tying in books that the sales data is immediately like visible. Like he just talked about Superman for All Seasons, I think, being a big influence for his Superman stuff. I bet you that book's hard to find now. Like Supergirl was out of print because of him. They would be dumb to not do something similar. But I also think they can be dumb. So
it's not like they have a history of being smart.
I agreed. Yeah.
Gotta get the actors on board, being like, catch him in his candid pictures, reading, all of a sudden, oh, I'm reading, this era of X-Men.
Yeah.
And that worked for Loki and Tom Hiddleston.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Or when Benedict Cumberbatch was at a comic shop, he had pictures there for Doctor Strange.
That was that one that was it JHU?
I think so. Yeah.
It
New York
was
City
Jim
ones,
Hanley's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's always going to work, and I think that's always going to play well with people that, want to know that these actors care about the characters on some level, whether it is a photo op like Marco implied, or legitimate. I think that's great. I feel like House and Powers has been that modern book that you can hand to a person who's interested in the X-Men and say, okay, start here. Whether that is a good starting point in 4 years or 5 years when the X books come out, or when the X movies come out, rather, because we are years out still. Is House and Powers still a good place to start? Probably not. But I think for most comics, you could make that argument of, in 5 years, we need a new starting point. And I don't know if that's healthy for the industry, but that's where we're at, and that's a completely different conversation.
I think House and Powers is a good starting point for the X-Men if you've read comics before. I think it is a hard starting point if you haven't read comics before.
Yeah.
Just because of the way the story is told. It's non-linear. And I think for somebody new to the medium, it's a little tricky. I think if it was just like, hey, here's Professor X with 5 mutants, and they're fighting bad guys. Like, it's a lot. Like, I think it's dumbed down, but if you're trying to get, and I don't think they are, but if you're trying to get new readers that are, enjoying something from like TV, film, something like that, and into comics, I think it has to be something super linear and straightforward.
Introductory.
Yeah.
For who?
Well, for new readers in his example.
Yeah,
like,
potential new reader.
Yeah, the
needs the quotation marks.
Yeah.
I like, how many more comics did a Black Nick Fury sell? That's what I'm getting at. Like, I just don't think that I don't know. I don't think it matters, but
I don't know that it sold more, but I didn't know that he wasn't until I think you guys told me on the show that Nick Fury isn't the Nick Fury.
yeah.
I'd also argue Nick Fury is a bad example because it's Nick Fury.
Any example. Like, I think you could take your pick.
Iron Man comics got better once Iron Man became a movie star.
They got better.
They got more and better. There was Iron Man was kind of like B-list for the movies.
There was one more book announcement before we close out this segment. It's called The Original X-Men. And this one we actually have a little bit more information about. It's by Christos Gage, who's a name I'm very happy to see. I haven't seen Gage's name in a while. with art by Greg Land. Let's hold our booze. And it's I think this premise is actually awesome. But it does seem like it's going to tie into potentially what they have coming. So Gage said, essentially, the original X-Men are plucked from their era by an older Jean Grey, aka the Phoenix from a different timeline. This is a middle-aged Jean who wasn't replaced by the Phoenix Force. Instead, she found a way to coexist peacefully with it. But now she's become aware of a deadly danger on another Earth in the multiverse. Only the original X-Men can solve it. Why? Because the problem is them. I'm going to stop reading the quotation and just explain what it is. There's a world where the original X-Men decide that they're the ones who can solve the problems of Earth, and so they dominate Earth. And they get so good at it that they plan to go and dominate other Earths, save them, quote in quotes. And this version of the Phoenix is going to send the original 5 to meet them, because this particular original 5 is the same one that Bendis sent to the future to meet their to meet their future versions from 10 years ago.
I like how they picked the most complicated way to do a story with the original 5.
Cool, I think
though.
I think it's a really interesting concept, because if you can get past the crazy connections, it does make a lot of sense, because that OG 5 from Bendis, they remember that they met themselves. So they're the only ones who know how they become later on.
Wasn't this the first issue of Jean Grey? It was very similar to this.
Yeah,
It has
in
this-
that one. In that one, Jean is the problem herself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're playing on that idea though.
Yeah,
Continues to-
Jean needs to stop messing with timelines. And
I'm so
multiverses
tired of
at
that
this
hoe.
point. Yeah.
Whoa. Come on.
The problem is getting over these shenanigans, and I can't do it. You started explaining it, and I tapped out. I said, "Listen, I'm sorry. This is too much."
I also think the original X-Men can't work in modern comics as the X-Men anymore. It's just too white. Like, it's not a fair representation of reality. Like, so much so that they turned Iceman gay, because they were like, oh, okay, well, we want these guys to be the focus, but we need some kind of diversity here.
I don't know about all that. I just know that they keep going back to these characters. And I personally don't get the appeal.
Yeah.
Like, I love these 5. I don't get the appeal of seeing them in seeing the past versions over and over again. I don't get it.
And how does that fit into the bigger narrative of everything they're doing right now? Right? You've got alternate reality, future, past versions meeting. Where does that fit in with the resurrection of Magneto and the fall of the House of X and all that? Like, how does that?
Right.
To me, it seems like an oddball, right? It's just odd.
It's branded on the cover that they gave is branded with the X-Men 60th anniversary logo on it. So is it more just a celebration miniseries?
It's a
rather than it's a one shot. Okay, then this screams
so then
like
it's ultimately like not it's inconsequential. I hate to say that, but like it's ultimately not going to affect anything outside of itself. So it's just, if it's a one and done, like it is what it is. Like it's going to stand on its own.
They're promising that it will have major implications, but it's like, can we take that seriously?
Yeah,
that's a solicit.
How often is something like that dropped? Right?
Seems weird to do that with a one shot too, like a one shot that's gonna reverberate through the Marvel universe. I don't know about that.
Although I do want to see how Greg Land draws Original Beast. That's gonna be horrifying. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's awful.
No, he's probably got some beefcake porn in there somewhere that he can trace.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. Coming from the artist, I'll trust you on that one.
Trace, Trace. That's what I'm doing.
So ultimately, we don't know, because I still hold out some kind of hope that this is Marvel tugging our leg again, and we're exiting the house of X era and entering the Powers of 10 era, because the book is called Rise of the Powers of 10. So maybe that's what's happening. But I think it's more likely that they're rebooting the whole thing. And I am not happy about it, but financially, business-wise, I get it. I'm sure we'll talk about this again and we'll reflect on the whole Krakoan story once it's over. Right now, my feeling is that it is a land of missed opportunity.
Agreed.
All right. Enough X talk. No more X-Men today.
We're
Thank
X-Men?
God.
One Piece now?
It's a good,
Whoa. No,
good
not One Piece.
Scarlet Witch impression.
The Netflix show?
The Netflix show, maybe, because it's got like what? I don't know, 7 episodes, some normal amount. Someone told me last night that there are over 1,000 episodes of One Piece. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Of the anime.
anime.
That's insane.
Love it all.
Well, the
don't
manga
know.
itself is like the longest running manga in the world.
Wow.
Like ever.
Marco, what did you start here? This is comic books, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And we got some good comics to talk about. We got some good comic creators to talk to. We got the Bardic Verses, baby. So Pete Collins and Matt Summo, we talked about the Bardic Verses a little bit earlier, but we didn't dive in. I want to dive in. So I remember when you guys were first promoting this book, and I'm like, well, what is this? What's the Bardic Verses? And I think a lot of people probably had a similar thought. Like, okay, well, what is this about? And I got to see some of it at that time, and I was like, oh, okay. It's, first of all, it's super fun looking. And that was one of the things that I was most drawn to. Just like the visual style of it. And I want to talk first about how you developed and designed how the book had to look. So Matt, I guess I don't know how you guys developed it. Was it a completely joint collaboration? Matt, did you come with the sort of idea and then Pete, you informed it? How did you guys work together on bringing this to life?
This is like beginning of COVID, like I think around the time Witcher season 1 was on or had debuted on Netflix. So we really I really was drawn to the Bard character, Jasker. And Pete and I were just kind of spitballing ideas. We were like working on one project that kind of died out, unfortunately. And we were just talking about this Bard character and how interesting it would be to do a comic like from a Bard's perspective, because they're like a storyteller at their core. And we just started spitballing. We were talking about how if they're also a musician, how would we reflect like how they sing or tell their stories in a visual form. And this is where we came up with the different art styles that Pete does in the book, which are also like homages to creators that we love. So we do like a Frank Miller homage, a Bill Watterson homage, Rob Liefeld. We do a Disney homage and a Ryan Otley homage in the book, just to show like the different types of music he would use or different storytelling techniques he would use to reflect that in the art. And it just kind of snowballed from there. So Pete's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of an artist. Like he can adapt to the different styles in the book. Like there's one main style. So in between the stories, that the interstitials are all done in like our main style. And then the stories themselves are drawn in the different styles of the different creators that we're homaging, all done by Pete. I think the people that have read the book are always like, it's insane to me that this is all the same person because they look so completely different. And that's a testament to Pete's talent. Like Pete is just like an art master, like a wizard. I don't know how he does it. I'm in awe of him. Like he does, and his stuff has only gotten better as we've gone on. But yeah, just the product of this was just spitballing back and forth about this character. I'm a storyteller, obviously, so I was immediately drawn to the Bard and kind of telling his story, and then using those different art styles to to tie the book together and, you know, kind of poke fun at comics in general and the different creators that we've homaged, and to tell a fun story about a bard trying to escape the legacy of his family.
That's so cool.
What does Bill Watterson art sound like?
Well, it sounds like a lot of crunching snow,
Okay.
a lot of rustling leaves, that sort of thing. It's when you see the page, it'll
Yeah.
make sense.
The fact
I
that
can
you even
picture-
had an answer is crazy.
I could picture
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Big Calvin and
Yeah.
Hobbes fan.
I can too,
Yeah.
and I've never read Calvin and Hobbes, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that and that as a premise, it allows you to do so many things and go so many places, which I really love. Pete, how have you enjoyed working on this and being able to express yourself and flex all those kinds of different artistic muscles?
I can't say enough how much I loved it. It's early on, I started to draw the book, from page 1, 2, 3 consecutively through, and having to jump and shift into different art styles for these different homages, that took a toll. Not took a toll, well, maybe a little bit. I learned some things that were good and I learned some things that were bad, right? As I'm trying to emulate other art styles, it impacted how I was doing like the interludes between these sections. So much so that I went back and redid all the first 5 pages entirely, because I had changed my art style as a result of all that. So there's definitely a challenge to it. But it is fun. It's a fun challenge, to say like, is that hand Liefeld-ian enough? It's kind of, does that foot look too good? There's a lot of that, a lot of quality control in it.
Do you?
You know,
Oh, sorry. Do you have to prepare before you switch into that style? Like, do you have to read something before to get like the feel and then go ahead and execute?
yeah, a little bit. I mean, in a lot of cases, I read a lot of books, so it's it's a lot of rereading for me in some cases. So like when we did the like the Frank Miller homage, that was Sin City, that was Dark Knight Returns. Just diving into there, like, how does he get those scrunchy lines on the face, and where does he use his straight lines versus his round lines, and how does he play off of shadows in different scenarios, and just practicing it a lot. Little quick sketches, little trying to take a picture and draw it the same way. Okay, that's how he did that. Get that muscle memory started. But yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that reference diving. Getting into my collection, like, okay, give me all my X-Force comics.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I had like 50 number ones. I don't know if they're worth anything.
What?
Nice.
And
all the different colors. And
but
stuff.
it's all the colors. I got the gold, the purple, the whatever. But what's awesome too is that the way Matt writes a script is an artist's dream. I've seen different scripts where sample scripts from other people where it's like very concise directives. This panel looks like this, and it's like, okay, you're not leaving a lot there for an artist to get their visualization out. And Matt's very concise to what needs to be concise, but flexible enough to make sure that I'm getting my stuff out there too. And there's been plenty of times where I'll shoot him a picture of a panel and say, hey, how's that look? And he's like, I trust you, it looks good. And it's like, all right, awesome. And but yeah, and there's a lot of that back and forth too throughout the process. send snapshots of different things and,
Matt,
get the thumbs up.
how do you I guess like how do you tend to know where to step back and where to kind of relinquish that control, Matt, on those scripts? Because I can imagine there are moments where you really have an idea in your head, and you kind of want to put pen to paper and see it the way that you have. But then to your point, Pete, right? Like having that flexibility is really helpful. So where do you find you jump in more than you pull out?
I think it's more so like when I see a thumbnail where I'm like, hey, like that looks good, but like I really need it to be like this person is here, that person is there. Just for the setup of the panel. Like I really try to let artists do their thing because that's what they do, the heavy lifting, right? So I like to be like, hey, like this is where this page needs to go. Here's where I kind of need people to be. Like you're free to do what you want, angle wise or whatever. And then as we go, I'll look at the thumbnails and make changes from there. But again, like I trust Pete. Like we've worked together for a while now, where I'm just like, do whatever you do, and then if there's something that drastic that I need to be changed, we'll talk about it after the fact. But for the most part, it's I kind of have like a loose idea of what I want to happen, and then I trust him to do his thing.
So
There's I would say too that there's a lot, there's a lot of flexibility with backgrounds. That I saw with the Bardic verses where it was, our main characters in a tavern. So there's a lot of characters all around the place. And it's like, if you look at all of those panels between his song chapters, if you will, there's little micro stories happening in the background. Right. And that was just simply for the fact that, okay, this panel, our main character is doing ABC, but in the background, I have to have something. So I would continue little segments with background characters across a couple of panels. So, yeah.
So I just looked this up. When you guys talked about this originally on the Journey into Quistory episode 3, which I shared in the chat, that was October 2021.
That was so fun, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's what, almost 2 years at this point. Since then, and like since then, like the D&D movie has come out where Chris Pine was a bard. Critical Role is huge. The Baldur's Gate, lighting people's pants on fire. So this almost fantasy setting has only gotten more popular. So this feels like a good time for this relaunch to kind of happen at the same time.
Speaking of that, the Bardic Verses is actually being released in comic shops in February through Band of Bards, which I'm dying to hear about that collaboration, because the fact that you guys are doing the Bardic Verses and there's a publisher called Band of Bards, I was like, wait, did they create their own publishing company? Like, they're going big time, huh? But no, this is a partnership. So I thought that was super cool. So you guys are bringing the series to LCSs in February. You'll be in previews, which is exciting. Listeners who want to get access to this book, you guys will be able to go and grab it, just like you grab X-Men books. The Bardic Verses will be right there. That has to be so cool for you guys.
It is very cool, and really quick, like it is very. We're not unaware of how on the nose it is that the Bardic Verses is being published with Band of Bards. Like it just seemed like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Like my dream is to have Gary, the little yellow goblin from the book, be like the Band of Bards mascot, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, I mean, it's to Tyler's point, like we did that Journey into Quistory in 2021. Like we've been working on this sort of partnership with Band of Bards for a little bit now. I think we locked it up in January, I think. And then their publishing schedule is such where they release all their releases come out on the last Wednesday of every month. so they're booked so far in advance. Like when we signed with them, they were like, hey, this, like, we're so booked, this isn't going to come out until February. So we sat on this from January of this year up until now when we finally announced it. And now we knew then that this, like, the new version of the book is not going to be in stores until February, which is good. It gives us kind of a long lead time to go back and, reformat the book. Like, so this version of the book is going to be completely different than the Kickstarter version of the book. We have brand new cover. We kind of rejiggered a lot of the interior stuff, a lot of the back matter. Pete went back and did some touch-ups to the art, the interior art of the book. So we wanted to make it special for people that supported the Kickstarter, because they'll have one version of the book, and now, in February they can go back and get a better version of the book.
That's sick. I love that.
You need a little Gary cutout to be able to send out, like one of those fathead things, and just send them out to the shops, man, because that'd be cool.
That's a good
Oh,
idea.
man, that is a good idea.
That was a good idea.
Marco does PR,
It's true.
Hire me.
marketing.
You wouldn't know it for this podcast, but he does do
Right.
it.
Yeah, we've never benefited. I want to play a quick game. So we're talking about the Bardic verses. We're talking about D&D. What are we? Let's cast ourselves. If in a D&D world, what role does each of us play? And there can be no overlap.
I already know mine off the top.
Same.
Yeah.
If you're hot out the gate, go for it.
I'm a multi-class barbarian fighter combo, mostly because I don't really think about things. I just do it, and I feel like that's Barb. It's just like, all right, just go for it. And then if I get killed because I ran in just so I can get my multi-attacks in, oops. Like whenever I play D&D, I'm never the first. I'm always the first. It's like, all right, there's a door, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna open the door.
Yeah, it's me too. Yeah,
Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Marco, you said you were hot.
Yeah, I'm.
Bard.
I have a campaign that we're doing at our office actually at the moment, and I am an orcish bard.
Yep.
But my shtick is that I'm cheap, and so if you want to hear my song, I need coin, man. Yeah, I don't play this stuff for free, and then like I'll do spells and whatnot.
Yeah, but what class or what who's your character? Who are you?
That was me. I don't have any more details than that. I'm not well versed in D&D. That's all I do when I play. And they tell me, Marco, you did this thing. I'm like, all right, cool. I rolled.
I played World of Warcraft for a decade. I was a paladin for every single day of that decade.
That still tracks.
I would be a paladin.
Yeah. I think you'd be an Oath of Vengeance paladin too.
Yes,
Like
I feel that.
someone-
And then also
yeah.
I would struggle with my faith because my oath would make me do dark things. Absolutely. That would be my character.
Okay. Yeah, not Oathbreaker. You seem like somebody who was like, all right, I need vengeance. Somebody wronged
Yeah.
me or wronged my god, and I'm out for revenge. Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe have a dark arc, turn
Yeah,
bad, a little
yeah.
Arthas in the mix, stuff like that. It'd be very fun.
I would be I think I would be a Goliath barbarian bard dual class. Or a bard
interesting.
or a barbarian, if you will.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's good.
And where I smash my enemies with music.
You could hit them over the head with a guitar. Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
or with some badass rhymes.
Yeah. Let's call people
You got
slap
any?
nuts.
You got any rhymes? You want to
No.
hit us with
Yes,
some? No.
spit a couple
No.
bars.
We
Not
need
at all.
it. Streets
Not at
need
all.
it, Pete. We need it
Not at
now.
all. Not at
We're
all.
live on the Comics Pals.
Yeah. I regretted it as soon as I said it, guys.
It's like, my name's Pete, and I want to say, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Dude, so good.
I'm not
Oh, yeah.
really like a D&D guy. Pete's kind of my Sherpa into D&D, so he was kind of informing what we wanted to do with the character, and we've built like character sheets for the characters in Bardic Verses. So in Baldur's Gate, I am playing the character from the Bardic Verses, Martilm. So he's a human bard. I try to. He has very limited combat experience, so the character Martillon, to give you the elevator pitch, he's the son of like a legendary family of warriors. So his dad was a warrior, his grandfather, his grandmother, like all these other people that came before him, all warriors. He decided not to take up the sword and picked up a lute instead. So I play that character as somebody with little to no combat experience. So I try to talk my way out of every single interaction I have in that game the way that I would picture Martillon. Like Martillon very rarely engages in combat in the book until he's pushed to his limit. So I do the same in Baldur's Gate. So that would be me in general. I used to, in a past life, I was a door guy, a very popular bar on Long Island, and I would never get into fights. Like our big thing was like we wanted to be as non-violent as possible when dealing with people because people are so litigious in this day and age. So we wouldn't really, we tried very hard to go the non-violent approach with, people that are violent. So I try to treat my life the same way and this character the same way. Like I want to try to talk my way out of every single situation, and if I have to fight, I'll use that as the, last ditch effort.
Kale.
Man, this is so tough. I think similar to Matt, I'm not a D&D guy. I've only ever gotten to play a couple times. I think I'm just gonna go with like what my original character was, and it was like a wizard fighter.
Interesting.
Very big on like throwing fireballs and then like decking you in the face, like
enchanting your sword and whatnot.
Yeah.
I remember you played a paladin in our campaign.
Was I a paladin?
You were something religious, maybe a cleric. Were you a cleric? Possibly a cleric. I know you're religion based heavily.
Something religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
If you're watching us live or really at all, let us know what you would be. What would you be? What are you in our little D&D game that we'll never get around to?
Harris says
fantasy,
he DM'd
the
for
fantasy palsverse.
Yeah. I wanted to mention again, if you want to get your hands on the Bardic verses, you can do that in February at your store. Wherever you go to buy comics, your favorite local LCS or like local comic shop, you will be able to pick this book up there. I know I'm going to be picking it up. I can't wait to be able to pick it up. So I think everybody should do that. If you haven't figured it out yet, these are some good brothers, and they're doing good work. And we like to put our money where our mouth is. So if you want good comics done by good people, this is one of the ones you should be looking out for in February.
And once previews is out, pre-order.
December.
Yep.
December.
Yep.
Awesome.
So once you get the previews code, that's what you need to pre-order, right? The previews code.
I mean, you can, in theory, any good comic shop that has like a computer in it they can order it with the title alone. But yeah, we typically pass around the previews code.
Cool.
Awesome. We're gonna keep things rolling along. Matt and Pete are gonna hang out, right? You guys are good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got more show to do. But before we get into that, I do want to let you guys know a little bit about us, the Comics Pals. If you are enjoying this, if you've been having a good time so far, patreon.com/thecomics-pals is the best way to support us. If you like what we do, we'd love to give you bang for your buck over there. We're always posting every single week. We've got new content up there for you guys. We've got a newsletter that goes out every single week. We've got Palling Around, which is our exclusive show to our Patreon page, where we talk about whatever we feel like talking about. This week we talked about our experience with Comicsgate, and we dove into we had quite a run-in. We made the decision to have Heather Antos on the show, who was a fantastic human, and for some reason that was a cardinal sin. But No sweat off our backs. But we talked about that on our Patreon page, and you guys can go listen to that. While we're speaking about Patreon and patrons, I want to say thank you to our fantastic patrons. A special shout out to the best pals in the universe, Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro and the Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound. And a very special thank you to the Night Stalker, Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum, Mike Elliott, Starcross Catherine Stars, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Neon Knight, Cosmic Avenger, Super Shenran the Conqueror, and Marvelous Mike and Mackenzie. You all are beautiful. Thank you so much. If you want to watch this show live, that is every single Saturday right here on youtube.com/thecomicspals at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Polls. You can vote in the listener poll on YouTube in our community page. If you want to decide what we read on the show, you get to influence that. We've got some good books up there this week, so go check that out. We've got Miss Marvel, the New Mutant #2, Realm of X #2, Power Girl #1, and Penguin #2. So DC and Marvel going head to head in that poll. Give that a look and come hang out with us on our Discord server where we are always having a very fun time.
I can't even keep up on the Discord. The people are
I know, right?
Going in that one. Jeez.
Yeah. Like it's its own animal now.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we're going to be doing a draft later on, so we got to get to 25 likes. If you have not hit that like button yet and you can hear my voice, smash that like button. Let's hit that goal well ahead of time so that I don't have to say it again. I shouldn't even have to say it at all. You guys know what we do on Saturday mornings. Let's get it. Let's talk about Jonathan Hickman again. He moved on from the X-Men. He said, I'm done with that. He put that in the rear view mirror. He went all the way back to 20 years ago and said, we're going to run it back with the Ultimate Universe. We've got Ultimate Invasion going on right now. But Marvel doesn't care about that anymore. I'm not even sure they ever did. It's all about what's coming next. And what we know is coming next, in this case, is Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto.
Oh, not me.
Not you. No.
Not me.
No, not you. First of all, we got to have a conversation, pal on pal, because I want to know if this counts. Because I said that Hickman would be writing a Spider-Man book, and that was part of our bets.
Stuff?
Yeah, the year-end bets.
Ooh.
So we got to have that conversation.
But this comes out next year. Does that count?
It comes out next year. It's announced this year. That's a conversation we're gonna have to have. I'll put that to the side for now.
If it means you winning, then I say no.
Fair enough. I understand.
See how it mats out.
Yeah, we'll see how favorable it is for me. When I say Ultimate Spider-Man, Jonathan Hickman, Marco Checchetto, are you hyped? Does that get you going? No.
No. I like all of these things I like separately. And even like bits and pieces of these things I like together. But for me, I'm not interested in the voice that Hickman is going to bring to Spider-Man. Hickman for me is too big brain for Spider-Man. I love what he did with the X-Men. I love what he did with the Avengers. And I absolutely love what he did with the Fantastic Four. There's too much low to the ground stuff that Spider-Man deals with that I don't think I am interested in Hickman's voice for.
Because you say that, and I agree with you, Cal. Because
Yeah,
I think
of course.
because you're
I'm right.
a smart guy. You're always right. Yeah.
Oh,
So, but like Hickman's like Secret Wars. He's House and Powers of X. But there are some peaks of his Spider-Man that I've gotten. I think like in his Avengers run, when Cap recruits Spider-Man, he asks something like, "Are you gonna get paid? Is there health insurance?" And then Spider-Man cries. He's like, "Oh yes." Like there are bits there that are very Spider-Man, and I enjoyed.
I'm definitely not saying he can't write Spider-Man.
Sure. Yeah.
Or that he couldn't even do a good one. I'm saying that I'm not interested in it.
I also think it depends on what Spider-Man this is too. Like that's a big question mark here. Is it Miles? Is it Peter? Is it a new one?
Tyler, you are just
Sean,
also-
I don't have your script, Sean. I'm just going with what my brain's telling me.
I also think Marco Checchetto is I think that art is gonna be too pretty.
What?
You know, Bagley was
Oh.
you know, with Ultimate Spider-Man, Bagley was like the spider guy, but his art wasn't like, it's not perfect, you know, the way that sort of Checchetto, like we might as well put Olivier Coipel on Spider-Man for this. And it's just like yeah, that's cool and that's good. But it's just like, is that like how long is that gonna last? You know, it's like Sean, we talk about this all the time. It's how long can we keep Ed McGuinness on a book?
yeah.
You know,
Right. Before you have to start getting a fill-in artist.
Yeah.
Before you have to start having fill-in arcs. Yeah, absolutely.
Even like outside of Bagley, like I think of who wrote the relaunch Ultimate Spider-Man? Who drew that with Bendis?
Imminent.
Pacelli?
Yeah, but
yes.
then there was another one. It was a little more cartoony. It was
La Fuente.
La Fuente. Yeah. So like even like Ultimate Spider-Man, I don't think of it as like this grounded Spider-Man in art style that I think of like Checchetto. You know, like with Checchetto, I think of Daredevil. I think of his Punisher run with Greg Rucka, which fantastic book. So I almost think of Ultimate Spider-Man as a little more lighthearted, a little goofy. But also, I don't think of Hickman as that either. So this seems like a full retooling of the idea of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Matt and Pete, where are you at with this?
I feel like I have some thoughts. I think I'm not overly concerned with Checchetto necessarily. I think, to Tyler's point, like that there aren't matches like a street level character, right? Like that Daredevil run is top tier. But like for Hickman, I don't picture him as a street level character guy, and that could be my own bias. But like you said, big brain, like he has like a lot of like just real heady like concepts in all of his books. Like I don't picture him as a Spider-Man guy, and I could be wrong. Like he might knock it out of the park, but for me, like reading that off the bat, I'm like, that's a strange choice for me. And it doesn't. I'm not gonna run out to the store. I'll kind of wait and see, how other people who are picking up the book are talking about it. But for me, like, I don't see him as the Spider-Man guy. And again, I could be wrong, and I'm hoping I am wrong. But off the rip, like, no.
Yeah, same here. Hickman feels like an odd choice. He's almost strikes me as like too cerebral for Spider-Man, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I would love to be totally wrong on that, right? And Checchetto, an amazing artist, right? Like I can't wait to see what that is. I would like to think that, because, Checchetto's just come off of Daredevil, that's been very gritty and action packed. And Hickman is, again, more, cerebral and like weaves a very intricate web with his stories that, maybe this is them coming together and saying, hey, we need to scale it back ourselves. We need to get street level. And maybe it's great. But yeah, right out the gate, I'm kind of apprehensive about it.
Yeah, that's a good word. Apprehensive. It's just like I'm not necessarily. It's not that I'm not excited, but I need to wait for it to come out to see what we're gonna get. Because, similarly, it doesn't feel like he's the guy to do those kinds of ground level storytelling. He's always operating up here, and the rest of us are down here until he brings us up. And
Yeah.
on the art style, I feel like I remember the I always remember the cover of the first trade. It's like digital, shiny, bright colors, and that's what I expect from some of the art sometimes. At least for the Ultimate book and specifically for Spider-Man. So I don't know. I think Marco Checchetto's a capable artist, and it's just going to be a matter of will he emulate the style, or is he going to decide and double down on his stuff? Either way, it's going to look fire.
I mean, we had these two do Peter Parker Spider-Man story in Amazing Fantasy 1000, and it dealt with the Council of Peters, so it's not a very ground level concept. So if that's any indication, it's going to be very Hickman-y. So,
but Hickman can do the Hickman stuff, and it works. And I think like he'll take this character to be like, all right, he's going off, but actually, I'm stuck to the story.
All right, so now the big question, as Tyler alluded to, is which Spider-Man is he writing?
Ben Reilly.
Could be.
Okay.
okay, hold on.
Now you've got me.
Oh, God damn it.
It could be May Parker. Who knows? They could go any direction. Obviously, it's going to be Pete or Miles. I haven't read the most recent issue of Ultimate Invasion, so I don't know if there's anything there that would inform, the idea of which one this will be. If I had to guess, I would say Miles. Just because we did see him early on interacting with the Maker and all that stuff. They really made a point to showcase him early. I think that's the natural place to go. I don't know where that leaves Peter at, but I think if we're doing Ultimate Universe and we're not just saying, okay, we're running it back from 20 years ago, it has to start with Miles. But I don't think that means that Pete shouldn't be there. I think Pete should be there. I just think Miles should probably be the marquee Spider-Man in this universe.
I would almost say that with what Ultimate Invasion, what's happening in Ultimate Invasion, and light spoilers, but I think it could be a secret third thing, and I think it could be a new character, honestly. I don't think that's fully outside the realm of possibility. I think it would be dumb, but based on what that story is doing, or it's kind of rewriting the Ultimate Universe in a way, I think there's a possibility there could be a new one.
No thanks.
Yeah, I don't need it.
I'm with you guys. But yeah.
So where do you guys land? Should it be Pete? Should it be Miles? Does it matter?
Should be Ben.
I'd prefer if it was Miles, but give him his own place away from Pete to kind of do his thing. I think I love Miles Morales as a character, but I feel that he just works better when he's not standing under Peter's shadow, right? Like that's a big shadow, like get him into the Ultimate Universe, let him do his own thing. And for me, I'd prefer if Peter wasn't even around. Just let Miles be Miles. Let him do his thing.
What I think is interesting about that is I think Miles and Peter work really well when they're actually together.
Yeah.
Like actually together. But when Miles is off away from Peter, but Peter's always at arm's length, it feels weirder.
It feels like he's a sidekick.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's doing his own thing, right? Like when Damien's doing his own thing and Bruce is across the city, it's the same kind of vibe,
Yeah. But and I think we've said this before, but if Peter would actually level up, slap him on the Avengers team, put him in space, give Miles and Peter that individuality they both need.
I think that's a unanimous take from us too. It's like either kill Peter or have him grow up and have Miles be the teen Spider-Man in that way.
Marowak Oscuro says, nah, Miles is staying in the 616. It will be the older and original Ultimate Peter Parker. I could see that scenario playing out as well. Again, though, I've been an advocate since they announced Ultimate return of let Miles go back. Not because I don't want Miles in 616. I do desperately. It's just that it's been a failed experiment. It has not worked. The only time it really worked was when Bendis was still writing him, because Bendis was like, I'm going to make Miles work. And so the first event that they did, I feel like after Miles was brought in, was like, he's front and center. Like, he's a factor. And now he's not. He feels like whatever. So if he's not in 616, and if he is in the Ultimate Universe, and Hickman is writing him, which is another thing I've always said, get top tier writers to write characters you want to get over. That's a recipe for success to me.
I think that's tricky though, because Miles has solidified himself as a character in the 616 now. He was part of the Champions, you know, that whole young section of Marvel. He's part of that. So what do you do there? Do you make the universes easily acceptable between like accessible between the two, where other characters can hop in and out? Like it's a weird thing to go back to this.
But does it matter that he's built
Yeah.
a little corner of being in the Champions at a time? Like, I don't think Miles is not doing anything relevant. Who here's reading Miles's book?
Are the champions?
There are no hands up, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are
audio
the
podcast,
champions relevant? Like, what a team name! Like,
they they were the fetch of the Marvel universe for a bit. They were trying to make it happen, but it didn't. I enjoyed it, but it was also Mark Waid writing teens, so.
But it's also like the Defenders. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool that these characters have a place to get together. But, when I have to think of their team name, it's not going to be that.
Sure.
We will get more info at New York Comic Con, which is just the vibe right now. We're so close to it. But I am very excited for this. I think Hickman, as heady as he can be, I think when you are a talented creator, if there's a need, you rise to the need. And I think Hickman can do that. I don't think that he's too big for Spider-Man. I think as a talent, he is literally exactly what Miles needs, if it's Miles. And if it's Peter, I'm sure those stories will be great too. Another announcement from Marvel that we will learn more about next month is Avengers Twilight. I think this one might be more universally exciting for you all. Chip Zdarsky is teaming up with Daniel Acuna for the, I guess you could almost say, like, this is what the vibe I get. We don't know much. Avengers the End, almost. Like the last Avengers story type of deal.
Twilight of the superheroes, one might say.
Yes, Marco, there you go. Matt, do you think that that's what this is? And if it is that something you're into?
I mean, it's Chip on the book, and Daniel Acuna is no slouch, so I'm here for it either way. Yeah, it feels like it's going to be like this is the last Avengers story. I say this with my tongue in my cheek, but I hate Chip Zdarsky so much because he's so good at literally everything. Like, he could draw. His Daredevil has been like probably my favorite Daredevil run, and he's obviously gonna bring it. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here for it all around.
Yeah, this is to me, this is exciting. Look, I am ready for Jed McKay's run to be over, 5 issues in, but I don't think that this is that. I feel like this is an ancillary thing that will happen off to the side, and Chip has done a tremendous job with that kind of thing. We had the Spider Shadow, which I enjoyed, and then the life story, the Spider-Man life story, which was also very good. So I think if he's given the room and opportunity to kind of do what he wants, with an Avengers that has nothing to do with now and is almost like a what if, I think that's fantastic.
I agree with that, but the way this is kind of looped in with the rest of the announcements and part of the next big thing panel, I feel like this is more like maybe an Omega issue to his Avengers run. Like, nothing against Jed McKay. I'm enjoying his Avengers run. I might be in the minority here. But the announcement of Jed McKay on the Avengers did feel like, all right, transitional champ for you wrestling fans out there. Where it's like, all right, we need, you know, Chip always felt like the next guy to do Avengers, especially after his Daredevil run. Like they were grooming him for it, and maybe Jed's run is just so Chip can build that. And this could be the start of it. Honestly, I love Chip, but Daniel Acuna is the draw for me here. Sean, you and I, Uncanny Avengers, that's our jam.
Yeah.
I know Kale's a hater.
Big time. Yeah, big time. This is the thing that is going to keep me away from this book.
Yeah, I love Daniel Acuna for Avengers 50th anniversary, I believe, did a series of connecting variants. And I know variants, but he drew every Avenger ever in these connecting variants, and they were gorgeous. So that has me more excited than anything here.
I'm not following Avengers. You got Chip on. I know his name. That carries weight. Daniel Acuna's name carries weight. It's one of those books that I'll give it the new creator team, you know, that benefit of the doubt, and then from there it's just a matter of whether or not they can suck me in, and I don't think that either of these guys don't have that ability. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Is Chip his real name?
No, I don't think so.
It's
Surely.
Genius.
It's Steve. I won't say his last name, but it's Steve.
Got it. Okay.
Oh wait, Tyler, wasn't that like a bit in what was that one book? Image Comics. He's like a character in it.
Oh, crossover.
Characters.
He was in
right?
crossover. I think so. Yeah. And RIP to that book. That book was good, but yeah.
So good.
Top Lane says he did Justice League Last Ride, and that wasn't great. I didn't read that. Did anyone read that?
I forgot it existed. You know, he's done that like he did that Dark Knight book too, right? That wasn't Batman proper, but it was like a side Dark Knight story.
I remember something like that. Yeah, vaguely.
He did like a prequel. It was like a Bruce Wayne prequel before, like pre-Batman.
Yeah.
Which it's fine.
I remember there being a lot of Alfred in it. It was very Alfred-centric.
My question, though, is if this is supposed to tie into, like, if this is supposed to pick up where Jed's run leaves off, like, why give it a subtitle?
Right.
So that makes me think that it's not going to connect and it's going to be its own thing. Because otherwise they would just say, like, Chip's going to be on the Avengers, guys. Like, this feels like something off to the side.
I think if it was a baton pass, they would make more out of it. Absolutely.
I do hate with all these announcements, though, that it's making me actually want to go to a Marvel panel at New York Comic Con. Like, I thought I was past that.
They're fun, dude.
I know they're fun, and I got to ask this Apocalypse question. So I think I might need to, you know, cut some time out to go to this.
While we're on the subject of Comic Con, Pete and Matt, what are your New York Comic Con plans? Are we linking up? Are we going to hang out? What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be around on Saturday, just kind of roaming the floor to say hi to people that are in town. So yeah, if you guys are around, for sure, let's link up. Pete, what days are you going to be there?
I'm only going to be there Thursday with some of the kids, the wife, a brother, niece. It's going to be like a whole crew of people. But if you're trying to keep your eye out for me, I'll be the fat guy with the mask. I should stand out.
Yep.
A costume?
Yeah, that's my costume. Fat guy with the mask.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we run into each other. We should try to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been seeing Matt at New York Comic Con like for almost a decade.
Yeah, I've gone to every single. I've never missed one. Actually, no, that's not true. I missed 1 year because I sprained my ankle. But I've been almost every year from the inception. That first one, what a nightmare! It was in February.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
stood outside to get in, like the first thing in the morning. Just brutal.
Did you go to special edition? I always harp on special edition. Here
No, and I heard all I hear
that was
about
awesome.
special edition is how good it was, and then they only did it once, never did it
Yeah.
again, because it was like basically just Artist Alley, right?
Essentially, it was that with panels that were like right next to Artist Alley, and there was big old wharf roaches around. That's all I remember.
There wasn't like a presence of the films and television stuff, so it felt like a completely comics focused event in New York with the cachet of New York Comic Con, and that made it feel really awesome. I'm excited for the fact that, like, I'm not excited for the strike, but I'm excited for the fact that because of that, a lot of the promotion and stuff is on pause. So I'm hoping that reflects this year at Comic-Con, where there is more of a focus on the comics, and maybe Artist Alley will get more love this year. I'm hoping that that's what we get out of it.
They said San Diego was like the best comics show that it's ever been because of the strike, which is sad. Obviously, you want people to be working, but it's nice to go to a show. Like, I think the last purely comics focused show I went to was like Baltimore Comic Con like a couple years ago, and that was they don't do the same thing that New York and San Diego does. They're not doing like movie and TV panels. Like, it was all comics the whole time, and it's awesome.
I love that. I miss the old school cons. Fun
Feels
stuff.
pure. Gotta go to those small ones, man. SPX was a blast because of that exactly.
I want to go to Baltimore next year.
Baltimore's fun.
Yeah, I want to give that a shot.
Emerald City's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Down.
You know what's on everybody's list? Transformers #1.
Ooh, good one.
Thank you.
Can't wait.
Now this is where we're all aligned.
Everybody is hyped for this comic book. Daniel Warren Johnson, Mike Spicer. It's just unbelievable. The start of the Energon universe in the hands of Image and Skybound. This is the highest selling Skybound debut ever at 150,000 copies sold so far to retailers.
Eat that, Batman.
Well, not published by Skybound, but okay.
I know what I said.
There's something with Daniel Warren Johnson where it's infectious, his enthusiasm for stuff. The dude writes stuff that he loves, like metal music that he did in Murder Falcon, do a power bomb, his love for wrestling. And like, if you've seen interviews with this dude loves Transformers. He's got so many in his backgrounds of any Zoom call he's in. So I'm not even a Transformers dude, and I am hyped for this, and it's pretty good, I gotta say. But yeah, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this whole Transformers, even G.I. Joe stuff, like the Tom Riley Duke book coming out. Like, I'm hyped for that too.
I can't wait to see Optimus Prime do the one-winged angel to Megatron at some point in the book, because Daniel Warren Johnson is going to throw wrestling in there. I think just like his work in general, like just his art style and how like he is able to convey movement in his panels like is unmatched. Like, there's no one out there doing what he's doing on a page. His stuff is just so fun to read. I can't even, again, like, similar to Tyler, like, I'm not a Transformers guy per se. I like them. I like the stuff that, I've seen all the movies, I've seen the cartoon and stuff, but I'm not like a fan. But I'm here for this. I'm here for anything Daniel Warren Johnson wants to do. If he wants to do a comic like the Cabbage Patch Kids, like, I'll read it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, like that.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, if there's anybody that's gonna turn me into a Transformers fan, it's gonna be this guy, man.
Oh yeah. I want to drop a bombshell. Yes, I am here today to drop a bombshell.
There'll be 2 issues with Daniel Warren Johnson.
I have read it.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Okay, you read it too? Yeah.
Do we get it?
Yes, we got it. We got it. We can't say anything about the interiors, but what we can say is that it is phenomenal. It is so awesome, and everybody's gonna love it. Like if you're not on the train for this book yet, I am telling you right now, you will love this comic book. It is so good.
When I finished reading it, I felt like Booker T. I was like, oh, shucky ducky quack quack. This stuff is good. Like, I was, oof. Can't wait for like the nice hardcover of this. Like, I'm future proofing my brain for what this book will be.
Artist edition. Just get these big old like archival
Image
paper
doesn't do
pages.
that, but yeah.
They should, man. For this guy, right now, this book.
Scalera's Black Science. Like, there's plenty that I want them to do that for. But yeah.
I genuinely can't wait until the pages come out on like Cadence. I think that's the one that represents him. Because I'd probably cop a page.
I can think of a page that I would want to have right now from the book. And Tyler, I feel like we're probably thinking of the same. If you're thinking of one, I feel like we're probably thinking of the same one.
I'm thinking of
Careful.
all of them. That's the thing. I'm like, oh, which one though? But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready. And hats off, because I love the fact that, this is a huge success for Skybound. This is immediately proving the value of this partnership, which so far has been great for them. Even Void Rivals has done really well, which is a Hasbro property, which is a weird part of the deal, but that is a Hasbro book technically. And so that's been doing really well. And I'm sure the G.I. Joe stuff will do really well too. I'm really happy for everybody involved.
And this isn't going to be, I know he usually does like minis and stuff, but do we know if this is ongoing?
It is.
By all accounts,
Yeah.
it is on.
Okay.
It's at least announced as an ongoing.
Man,
It can still be
working on-
ongoing
wow.
with a different creative team down the line, but
Sure.
Right.
the
sure,
book
yeah,
itself
yeah.
is an ongoing. Yeah.
If you're going to open with a bang.
If he does less than 12, I'm pissed. Right?
Chain him up and let him do everything going forward. Like,
This is his book for the next 2 years.
I'm down. We already know Clayton Cowles is chained up in a basement. Let's get Daniel Warren Johnson down there too and put these brothers to work. Let's do it.
He needs a buddy down there.
Yeah.
jeez. All right. Just as the Comics Pals, we're not pro-slavery. This is we want all of our artists to have,
They can be paid. That's fine.
okay,
We'll
all
pay
right,
them.
They will.
all right,
They'll be
got it.
paid
Yeah.
handsomely.
They just can't leave.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
They can use the benefits of that. Yeah.
In 4 years, they won't see the light of day for 4 years.
Yeah. Their families will be well provided for. There's a lot of fun things they can do on the internet with their money. It's okay. But we need more Daniel Warren Johnson comics. And, kids get in the way of making books
They can
sometimes. That's
sub
all
to
I'm
our
saying.
Patreon with that money.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would love that. So yes, Transformers, get that. It'll be out October 4th. So yeah, you're gonna want to pick that up. You know what else you're gonna want to pick up is the Bardic Versus, which will be at your local comic book shop in February. You will be able to pick it up. You'll be able to hold it in your hands. It's a glorious book. You want it. I want it. I'm excited to get my hands on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a draft to do. We promised a draft. You guys did what we asked you to do. We crushed the likes goal. And so we are going to deliver on our promise of a draft. And we've got a fun one on tap for today, I think. We're going to be drafting our very own Legion of Doom.
Let's go.
This would have been last week's, but
So what does that mean that we're drafting a Legion of Doom? It means that we can draft our teams of 5 villains. 5, sure.
5? That's what's 5 times 6? I'm bad at math. That's
30.
30 different
30.
villains.
Yeah, we can come up with 30 DC villains between the 6 of us, can we not?
Surely.
We're gonna have to reach for this Legion of Doom, but I think
Condiment
it's
King
all
and
right.
Legion of Doom. Let's go.
It'll be fun. So we're going to do 5 villains. And whoever can put the best team together wins. What is the best team? What is the qualification for the best team? Whatever that means to you, the listener.
Vibes. That's the answer.
Sometimes it's vibes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's vibes. Now I have my handy dandy dice, which I will get really quick.
Legion
Watch
of
me
Doom
go
dice.
last, even with 6 people here.
Dude,
Yeah.
there are people who say my dice are cursed. I don't believe that, but I can see
Loaded.
why you would. I'm going to say that since we have some guests, we should let them go first.
Roll first
So-
or go first?
Go first.
Okay.
Oh, and then we decide afterwards. We roll.
Yes. So
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll to see who goes first between Pete and Matt.
Okay.
So I will roll for you guys, and then I'll roll for everybody else. So here we go. I've got my dice, my X-Men dice, and I am rolling now for Matt. All right. Oh, it fell off. It fell off.
Oh.
We roll again. We roll again. That's a 7. So
Okay.
7 for Matt. And now for Pete. That is a 3.
Whew.
So Matt will go first. Pete will go second. And now for everyone else, I'll start with Marco.
Give it to me.
That's a 12.
Woo! All right. Well, I won.
Wow, best
I
of the
guess
worst.
Marco is going.
Now for Tyler. That's an 8.
Okay.
For Kale, that is an 11. Woo, big numbers. And for myself, a 10.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yep.
So somehow Tyler is last, even though my man rolled an 8. I am so sorry.
And
Uh,
to get that, I had to get the 12. Kale had to get the 11. You had to get the 10. Like,
Yeah.
it mathed out perfectly. Everything aligned for that.
I should
Tyler.
gamble. Wait, no, I shouldn't.
You should not
No.
gamble. You should never gamble. So the order will be Matt, Pete, Marco, Kale, me, Tyler.
All right, and then we're doing a snake draft. So then I'll do 2, and Pete will do.
Yes.
Matt will do 2 on the reverse end. Okay, cool.
All right, so Matt, you're up.
All right. So for me, so I have to do 1, right? So do I have that
To
right?
start.
Or do I start?
Yep.
Yep.
Start with
Yeah.
1. Okay. My first round draft pick is coming out of Gotham City. He is the Riddler,
Ooh, nice.
one of my favorite Batman villains. I like the one big Batman story I've always wanted to write was Riddler centric. I'm obsessed with the episode of the animated series. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich? So yeah, he's perfect first round draft pick for me.
What are your thoughts on Batman Forever?
Uh,
Oh, already
it's-
off to a bad start. In my opinion.
it's Jim Carrey playing the Riddler, so it's more Jim Carrey than it is Riddler. So
Fair.
I give him a pass because it's Jim Carrey, but not the best iteration of the Riddler.
Okay, all right.
A bold first round pick.
Very.
Leaving a lot on the table there.
Oh, I feel
Pete,
like
how you
Riddler is underappreciated. I think there's
Pete, how you
some
following?
meat
How
on
you
it.
following up?
All right, so my first round pick, you need somebody that has leadership, smarts, ingenuity, and is able to go toe to toe with somebody well outside of his class. So I'm gonna pick Lex Luthor.
Great start.
Safe. That's a safe pick.
It is a safe pick,
The good
but it's
one.
also the right pick.
Marco.
I'm also gonna go down the tactical route, but not so much brawn, but you definitely need the brain.
Wait, you picked the brain
Oh,
from
the brain.
from Monsieur Malone the brain as your
Yeah.
first pick?
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Marco.
I thought
That is an
that was
awesome pick.
going a
That's
different
incredible. Talk about a bold pick.
direction. Wow, Kale. I wonder who you're going to pick.
I would love to have the balls to pick Mansoor Mala. I don't.
Please don't touch that one.
Leave that for Marco.
Yeah.
I am gonna do Captain Cold.
Ooh,
Whoa. All
love a
right.
Flash Rogue.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. I guess I have to be the one to do it. I'm going to draft Darkseid.
Damn it! That
Okay.
was my next pick.
All right.
Classic Legion of Doom member.
Hey, absolutely.
Sean picks the OP
100%.
teams constantly. That's why I think this would be based on vibes. All right. I don't know how it happened, but I'm gonna pick Joker. Like, I kind of have to. It'd be dumb of me not to. I'd be a joke to not. But I will then follow it up with my second pick, Gorilla Grodd.
Oh,
That's good.
Marco, are you just picking all the simians? Like what?
I was gonna do like a whole monkey
Yeah,
list.
it's the Legion of Opposable Thumbs for Marco.
All right. So then that would make it
Your turn.
my turn. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go with Ra's al Ghul.
Nice.
Good
Great
choice.
Yeah, I always knew you were a racist.
You know me so well.
Yep.
So that would make it Kale's turn.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Mr. Freeze.
Dick.
This is a cold team.
I want to see if I can do it.
God. Oh my god, dude. There's
Somebody
no way.
Yo, Pete, pick
Let's
Killer
see.
Frost.
Oh,
pick
you
Killer
gotta
Frost.
do it. You gotta do
Let's-
it.
Yeah, I'll commit to it, but you guys gotta get out of my way.
I won't interfere with that. Marco?
I'm gonna go with dang. No, I'm gonna go with Black Manta.
Nice.
What happened to your freaking Simeon
Wimped out.
team?
He wimped out.
It took Gorilla Grodd already.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's yeah. Damn it, Tyler.
Well, to be fair, Marco, you picked my next pick, so.
Oh, yes.
Pete, you're up.
See, I think Lex was the safe choice, but I also think realistically Lex isn't going to choose anybody that's smarter than him. So, I'll choose Solomon Grundy.
Born on a
Oh.
Monday.
That's a good combo, actually. I like those two together.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, absolutely. And then Matt, you get 2 now.
I am going to go with. I need a heavy, so we're gonna go with Doomsday.
You know.
And Sinestro. Little classic Legion of Doom there, but you know we need the guy. We need the Yellow Lantern representing.
Oh, geez.
You don't want classic Legion of Doom blue suit Sinestro with the weird jester collar?
I mean, I do like that look,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I like the black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Okay, Wiz.
So it would be Pete's turn again, right?
Correct. Yep.
I
Yeah,
understand this now.
Here we go. Finally.
So black and yellow. How about yellow and red? We'll go with Professor Zoom.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Gonna do I'll do King Shark.
This is the weirdest draft we have ever done.
King Shark. You just shifted. You're like, oh, Aquaman villains. Huh?
Kale?
Listen, I said I'm committing. Minister Blizzard.
Whoa.
Whomst?
He's an ancient Wonder Woman villain.
Did you just Google cold-based villains?
What do you mean? Hey, what do you mean?
I'm going to draft. I'm gonna go with Bane. Tyler for 2.
Tyler for 2. You hit the daily double. So I'm going to go with Deathstroke as my next one.
Good.
I love me some Slade Wilson. And then I'm going to pick... we debated this last week, whether or not villain. But I'm going to pick Poison Ivy.
Absolutely.
Good choice.
I
back to
will
you, yeah.
draft. I need some power here.
I need some power
Oh.
here from a team with Darkseid and Bane.
Well, yeah. You know, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Ultraman.
Damn.
Man,
Good
you watched
choice.
last week, didn't you?
Sorry,
You watched last week, didn't you?
I did, but I love
fair,
Ultraman.
fair. Yeah, that's Morrison stuff there.
Kale.
Killer Frost.
Nice.
Marco.
I was gonna do Cyborg Superman.
Nice. Nice.
Pete.
I'm gonna go with the Bat Who Laughs.
You did it. Oh
Nice.
my God.
Wow.
You did it.
Hell of a pick.
Wow. The Batman Who Laughs and Solomon Grundy on the same team. Matt,
Am I 2 or 1?
you're 2.
Yeah, they're your last two. Yep.
I'm going to go with Cheetah and most recently an anti-hero, but I picture him as a villain, Black Adam.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Villain, that's not going to work for me, brother.
Yeah.
Pete, you're up. Last pick.
Jeez. I guess I will go with I'm gonna go with Clayface.
Nice.
Nice.
Love me some Clayface.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it just seems like a good fit.
Why not? Batman Who Laughs, Clayface. I
Oh,
see it. I see it.
unless David Zaslav is on the table. If I can choose him, I'll put him in.
Big villain. Big
But I'm
The
thinking
true
probably
villain
not.
of the DC
I'm thinking probably
universe.
not.
You have
You already
Lex.
got Lex
Yeah.
Luthor, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
If you're telling me Lex doesn't own a movie studio on the side that he doesn't pay people on,
Lex Films,
Yeah.
Luthor Films, yeah. Marco.
I'm gonna do Mirror Master.
That conversation about Mirror Master last week, I was up in arms. I was,
I knew
oh
you
my
would, yeah.
God, during that ranking you guys did,
Would Mirror Master
What
go
did we
to A tier? Was he?
I couldn't
No, he
believe
was an
that
A tier. No way.
Mirror Master was higher than like every member of the Batman Rogues Gallery. When there isn't a single human being on Earth who hasn't picked up a comic that knows who the Mirror Master is. Meanwhile, everybody in my life can tell you right now who Catwoman and Poison Ivy and all those are.
That doesn't mean they're good villains.
Well, you choose a good villain right now.
I will. Red Lantern.
Oh, what you do? What?
What?
Did not commit to the bit.
Such a pivot.
Which one? Atrocitus? You want?
Yeah, the scary one.
Bleeze? You don't want Dexstar, the cat?
Yeah, he'd fit better. You better do that one.
Yeah, I'll give you Dexstar. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose, I hate to do this, but I'm going to choose Perpetua.
I hate you, Sean.
Yeah, I know, it's okay.
Don't give a shit about Mirror Master.
Hey, this is a draft, okay? Not a ranking. I would not rank Perpetua very highly. All right. I certainly wouldn't rank her above Poison Ivy. Speaking of Poison Ivy, that was Tyler's last pick.
I get one more. I get one more. Oh,
No,
okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna end with something a little weird. First of all, I'm surprised Marco didn't take Anton Arcane. Just saying.
Oh shit!
Fake Swamp Thing fan. Fake fan.
God.
I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna draft Tua from the Miami Dolphins. That's I'm just making sure I'm getting the name right. I'm vamping right now. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Mr. Nobody from the Doom Patrol.
Oh.
Nice.
Okay. Wow. We have 6 iterations of the Legion of Doom, and they are fabulous. So let's run it from the top. We have Matt with Riddler, Doomsday. That is a classic team. Sinestro, Cheetah, and Black Adam. Formidable. Pete drafted Lex Luthor, Solomon Grundy, Professor Zoom, the Batman Who Laughs, and Clayface. Marco got the Brain, Black Manta, King Shark, Cyborg Superman, and the Mirror Master.
Let's go.
The hell of a
Kale, yeah. Kale went for sort of a theme with Captain Cold, Mr. Freeze, Minister Blizzard, Killer Frost, and Dex Star.
Star having a cold heart. Yeah.
All right. I got Darkseid, Ra's al Ghul, Bane, Ultraman, and Perpetua. And Tyler drafted Joker, Gorilla Grodd, Deathstroke, Poison Ivy, and Mr. Nobody.
Did nobody draft Brainiac?
Nobody
Nope.
drafted
Oh,
Brainiac.
What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Damn.
I think Matt had the closest to actual Legion of Doom.
Yeah,
team.
mine was safe.
Yeah.
Mine was safe.
Yeah,
That could definitely be a legitimate Legion outside of Doomsday, but he could be like a, someone's.
I wanted
pet.
to go real weird and pick like Starro, but
That would've been good.
I didn't pull the trigger.
But yours, I think, fits with like a Toy Man thrown on there, maybe maybe Giganta.
To be honest, I think Tyler's is really good if we're talking about like what makes sense for a Legion. I'd read that comic. Joker, Gorilla Grodd, Deathstroke, Poison Ivy, Mr. Nobody. I'd read that.
The last
Listen.
one's a good like left turn.
say what you want. You'll want mine in the summer.
It's true.
The Summer Legion.
Oh, that's funny. The rest of them are on vacation, and these are the guys that are kind of picking up and handling it.
Yeah, they picked the ones where their powers melt. Like I would,
It's
I
not
actually-
a long-term team.
I would like a Legion. Yeah, I would like a Legion of Doom led by Captain Cold though. Like Rogues is like, all right, Rogue's too small time. I need to level up. So with no other Rogues on the team, so they're the antagonists.
Well, he knows what they're capable of.
Can I pose a question to you guys?
Yeah.
Who of the two, who do you guys think has better rogues, Batman or Flash?
Batman.
Oof, what's better?
Yeah.
More
say-
interesting?
More interesting? Flash.
I would still say Batman.
Batman.
It's tough for me because I love them both so much.
Yeah.
The Rogues are more compelling to me as something I'd want to read.
Yeah.
But I still think Batman's Rogues are just like more iconic and untapped, I feel, as, actual character studies for a lot of them.
They stretch them out.
Batman's?
Well, I mean, we've tapped the same five over and
Tap
over
the
again.
fuck out of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a dead horse.
I think as like people in general, the Flash's rogues are more interesting. I think as like overall characters and the differences, I think Batman's are better. But I like the Flash's rogues being like just criminals that are like forced into having to deal with a superpowered being.
Top Lane says, I feel rogues are better as a team. Individually, Batman rogues clear. I think that's I wouldn't disagree with that. I think as a team, if we're talking about like a team wise, definitely the rogues for sure. And it's more of a book I'd probably read. Actually, I think I'd rather read a book about Batman's rogues teaming up.
They did that. Didn't Josh Williamson do that Rogues book about them doing
yeah,
like the
it's real
one
good.
last job?
Very
I have
good,
it. I
yeah.
haven't read it yet.
Yeah, it's
But
really good.
a buddy of mine who's like a big Flash fan was like, "You have to read this because it's so good."
Yeah.
And it feels I can't remember who does the art on it, but it feels like that Jeff Johns era Scott Collins art.
Awesome.
So it feels good.
I'm excited to dip into it.
Leo Max does it?
Correct. Yep.
Wow. It's really good.
Chat, let us know who won this draft. Of the 6 teams that we listed off, who for you won the draft? Which one did you like the most? The winner for the first time ever is going to get a prize. We've got a very special no prize to give out, so we'll get that to the winner very soon.
Harris, the
Once
only
again-
person to actually win a prize in this podcast.
No, that's not true. Is he? Is it?
Like physical? No, we gave out
Yeah.
other stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we've given out stuff. Pete won. I see a
Top lane
Pete
says
won in the
Pete.
chat
Yep.
already.
I'm pasting all the lists in here just for future reference.
Mm.
So I want to say, go pick up the Bardic Versus. We already had a few people in the chat say that they were going to pre-order it, so that's fantastic.
Nice.
Thank you to those who are going to do that. Whether you pre-order it or not, which pre-ordering is what helps the most, but whether you do it or not, you can get it in shops, in stores, wherever you buy your books this February. So you don't have too long to wait. Little post-Christmas stocking stuffer, all right?
Nice Valentine's Day gift.
Yes.
Post Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
There you
Free
go.
St. Patty's Day.
There you go. That's a great St. Patrick's Day gift. I say that as an Irish person. It takes place in a bar, right? Listen.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I
As
think
an
we
Irish.
need to push the date back then to Patty's Day.
Those
No,
notorious St. Patrick's
I
Day
need
gifts.
it sooner. Push it up. Let's get that out today. Thank you both for joining the show. You guys have been fantastic.
Thanks for having us. It was fun.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are welcome to come back. Hope to see you at New York Comic Con if we can make that happen. That would be a lot of fun. As for us, we, the Comics Pals, will be at New York Comic Con. We're gonna have live, well, not live, interviews that are coming out of the event. We will have some live interviews at Comic Con would be a trick. We'll have some live stuff though. We'll have stuff from the show floor. We'll have a lot of stuff to show you guys. We'll talk more about that next week, our plans for that. In the meantime, if you want to keep up with us, patreon.com/thecomicspals is the best way to support us, support what we do. If you enjoy our show, if you enjoy our vibe, the word of the day, then that is the best place to support us and get with us. We appreciate everybody who chooses to do that, and we give you a whole host of content up there for your support, which we are so appreciative of. Watch this show live every single Saturday on youtube.com/thecomicspals at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, Thursdays at 6 p.m. for Pals Pulls. Matt and Pete, do you guys have anything that you want to plug? Socials, websites, anything?
Yeah, you can follow me on like 1,500 different social media places, including Twitter and or X until it explodes, as at PAC Illustration.
Yeah, I mean, I'm everywhere. Blue Sky, Twitter, X, Instagram, Friendster, MySpace, Match.com, Tinder. Same username everywhere. It's MattManBegins. So please follow me to see what we got going on. Pete and I have some fun stuff coming up, not only just Bardic Versus related, but we've worked on other stuff that we have coming out.
What?
Couple months. Yep.
Ooh, cool.
Oh,
And also, you can look up somebody by their Tinder handle, so you might have just empty.
I don't think my Tinder handle is actually
Okay,
MattManBegins, but I am on Tinder, so keep a lookout.
Ladies.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get the dating pals together. We got some single people looking.
Marco in that
the
one.
lower part of this podcast is me and Sean are out.
Yeah, we're out. We're not on the market. Pete, can people still get a business card from you? Those were awesome.
Oh yeah. Go to my website, pacillustration.com. I'm still doing commissions for the 90s X-Men style trading cards. I actually have a few things coming down the pipeline in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to offer a couple of other styles. I'm going Series 1 and Series 2 Marvel as well, and Pokemon.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, I have a handful of them right here. I was just trying to reference to get my template right.
Have
So
to
That's cool.
scrape some credit card debt off the pile here.
yeah,
That's
I already did one for Jeremiah Espinoza. So he's got a Kickstarter too, which you should check out. It's called One Shot. Need some love.
Yeah, it's similar to Bardic Versus, very kind of along the same fantasy vein, but highly recommend
Yeah.
checking it out. One
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
I
This,
think I saw that on your social page actually.
One Shot Wonders or
It's just one shot.
One dash shot.
Perfect. And then I guess our plugs, Kale.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Comics Pals. You can find me on Instagram only. And boy, that is it's almost done. At Toto Into, that's TOTOINTOW. You can find my work at keleward.com. That's CALEWARD.com.
You can follow me at Mr. Mark Onomoto on Instagram and Twitter. Go bother Kale at Toto Into. That's TOTOINTOW.
You could follow Kale on Instagram at TOTOINTOW. And you can follow me at the Tyler Olson on Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, YouTube.
Christian
No,
Mingle.
don't go on my YouTube. There's some college films on there that I should private soon. But no, they're not good. Yeah.
Word.
I want to
and
see
then,
that.
And then yeah. Just talk to me about stuff. Baldur's Gate. I'm hooked, guys. I'm on my third concurrent playthrough. Like, just let me know what you're doing.
Third concurrent?
I got. Technically, I have 4 campaigns running at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ.
I
For
have
anyone who's go ahead,
over
sorry.
100 hours played.
That's for anyone who's wondering
Wow.
where the TikToks went. Tyler's been playing. Tyler's
wrong.
been Baldur's Gating.
You're not wrong.
As for me, X and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. Wrestling. That's all that's on my mind right now. Wrestling.
Interesting time.
Very, very interesting time. And we could just as easily turn this into a wrestling podcast, which tells me it's time to jump. Thank you to the Bardic Versus, Matt Summo and Pete Collins. Thank you for listening. Thank you to the rest of the Comics Pals. We love you. We thank you. Until next time, take care, guys.
See you next week.